various rural development as well as urban development projects. It's a project development organization running in India for the last 25 years. And we are connected to a federation of 43 different countries across the world. And Humana People to People movement is what Humana People to People India is connected to, which is where I am a part of. And I'm basically a project, we can say we are heading a particular department called National Head Office as a National Program Officer, where we are trying to provide leadership to the projects being implemented across the country in the 14 states in 6 different sectors of operation. And these sectors are basically environment, health, community development, literacy, and microfinancing. Basically, the idea is to...
Excuse me, sir. It will be my pleasure if I introduce you to our audience.
Yeah, I would love that. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And then at 3, we will be starting, I think.
Yes, sir. So welcome to the session of participatory democracy in an organization or a project. And I'm very delighted to introduce our expert, Mr. Surya Prakash Verma, who's National Program Manager, Human People to People India. Sorry, Humana People to People India.
Yes.
Being an expert around project startups and team management, sir had worked on various projects. The list is long, and I am really honored to announce a few of them. As a project coordinator for a project on eradication of child labor in Panipat textile belt of Haryana, sponsored by a partnership of government of Netherlands in 3 wards. That's amazing, sir. Had lead a project on financial capability building of 81,000 women of rural Rajasthan in 3 districts. That is sponsored by CRISIL Foundation. That's again an amazing thing. And as a project director, supported community development project Saksham on micro enterprise of more than 8,000 women in 3 districts of Bihar, Patna, Siwan, and Samastipur. And he has also done a project facilitation of World Diabetes Foundation project at Jodhpur. He had a great experience in licensing and creating partnership management at government and other various levels. With this, he had worked on women empowerment through SGS and GLS, rural and urban livelihood development and health. And with that, sir has, roamed around in India, in Rajasthan, Bihar, UP, Delhi, Jharkhand, MP, Himachal, and Haryana. And I believe, as the sir name is, Surya Prakash will really be enlightened with the knowledge and expertise and experience he's sharing with us. So I again welcome you, sir, and over to you, sir, so that our Amethi community can hear you and can be enlightened. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richa. Thank you for a very wonderful brief. And I would take it from here, just mentioning a very brief about Humana People to People organization as a structure. What we are here for last 25 years, and we have a very unique structure compared to other organizations of Humana People to People. And the uniqueness is that though we have a hierarchy on the papers, but in practice we have an approach. We could reach anyone from the ground, grassroots operating people, to the administrators, to the country representatives. So there is a flow of information, flow of expertise right across the sections. So I can say that this particular structure of ours, HPPI, has made us more capable enough to actually find ground in making things happen and also take people along with us. It's also talking about community to gather with us part in a participative mode. But before I go on, I would like to start with a documentary about a project. It's a 5-minute documentary we could go ahead with. Yes, here it is.
Diminishing forests and a burgeoning, mainly rural, biomass-dependent population of more than 900 million necessitates coordinated effort of rural India to supply itself with a dependable and sustained source of energy. With an increasing burden on the fossil fuels and a struggle to meet the demand and supply, and the consequence it has on the environment, the need of an alternative, new and renewable energy source has been yearned to meet the rural energy requirement and to show a good example of green and clean energy. Realizing the fact, Humana People to People Italia and Humana People to People India joined hands to raise awareness of global warming and climate change, and to introduce biogas as a model for local production of own energy in 5 villages of Alwar district in Rajasthan. The results the project seeks to achieve from this pilot project are: 10 biogas plants have been constructed for demonstration and introduced to the community. Information material has been produced to create awareness in biogas. After 2 years, 10 biogas plants are working in the 5 villages producing gas for cooking, and the slurry is being used as a fertilizer. 120 to 150 people understand more about global warming and climate change and what actions they can take themselves, as well as how they can serve as a good example in actions taken by villagers. Since the families are used to burn firewood and dung cakes to meet their energy needs, this was a challenge for the project to mobilize people to construct a biogas plant, which requires capital for construction and a regular dung feeding in the chamber to keep it running, a rather tedious job they were not used to. The situation was compounded by the project implementation under adverse conditions, where the earlier biogas units installed under the government scheme had failed considerably due to various reasons, including poor quality of construction, lack of awareness about maintenance of the plant, losing value of the biogas at least from the end user point of view as they were given free. To kickstart the project and to mobilize the people to understand and adopt biogas as a source of energy, the project conducted introductory meetings with the community, different community-based organizations like self-help groups and the farmers clubs, door-to-door visits to individual families to convince them on the concept and benefits of biogas plants. The project conducted exposure visits for the interested family members for experience sharing and sensitized the members of elected village councils for their support. 3,200 individuals participated in the introductory meetings, which was an extraordinary participation from every section of the community, and people were enthusiastic that the project will bring opportunities for a better life. To motivate the people from the community and give them a practical experience on operation of a biogas plant, the project constructed the first demonstration biogas plant at Bigana village near the house of Kabul Singh in February. The project staffs organized 5 exposure visits of 20 potential biogas adopting families, which helped them in clearing doubts about the construction operation and the maintenance of the biogas plant. To mobilize the women and farmers, the project formed women self-help groups and the Farmers Club, as women are the primary users of the biogas for cooking and the farmers the users of bioslurry in their field. The mobilization initiatives convinced some of the potential families to become the pioneers of biogas adapters and show examples to others, and as a result, 3 biogas plants are constructed and have become operational, while one is under construction. The families have started using the biogas for cooking and enjoying the benefits of this nature-friendly source of energy.
Having seen that documentary, it was an example of a particular community mobilization and people's participation to make things happen. And now I would take you across a particular presentation where we are talking about participatory democracy. Before I begin that presentation, I would say, when we talk about participative and participation, now when we think of participation at levels, it has different areas, different sectors, different types of population where the participation is needed in a community, in a government setup, to make a decision, take a decision, and get along with the decision process. And to make this happen, the participating teams and the units, individuals together come forward to make the process happen. Now I would like the presentation to start so that we can go along with the presentation. Basically, when we talk about participatory democracy, we are talking about multiple objectives. We are talking about people's trust. We are also talking about a decision-making process to be in place. And this to be in place will nurture change and bring about a situation better than the previous situation. So the situation is studied as a problem statement in the particular area, and then there's an intervention designed, and after the intervention, we find the change coming. This is the basic process, and across this process, we need people, we need designs, we need systems to be cooperating along with us. For that, we need, for whole of it, we need participatory democracy. And not only that, it is something which brings people from the different sectors together. They engage together to remove the inequalities. They share the authorities. More or so, we can say that the maximum authority sharing is in the area of power being shared. I will not go much deep into the political arenas or the governments or something else, but I will stay confined to some of the experiences which we have had as Humana people to people, and also some basic examples from some notable examples we can take up from the world at large. So going ahead, I can see one standing example of Saikatsu in Japan. It has been a voluntary organization, voluntary association since 1965, and they have been working. It's a group of women who wanted to come out in the open and take decisions for themselves, which earlier wasn't possible. So they came up, they formed a cooperative, consumer cooperative, they formed it and they started making their business plans. They started taking care of the distribution, production, consumption cycles. This ultimately removed their dependence on the big people, powerful people, and this way they could build their own system of cooperative, and this they expanded from 1 unit to 21 different units called prefecture in Japanese, and this was like a particular district which we call it in India. Now I can tell you, just to imagine a planet where trained people can take care of supply chains, not only in one particular area, it can be in areas of, say, water dissemination, taking care of air and soil. Then this expert knowledge could help us all to get a community-driven production system, which would increase the ownership, which would bring the real change which the world is striving to get ahead with. And despite all the odds like political arena interests coming in from time to time, that can also be dealt with participative democracy. This is one of the standing examples. And then I would take you to certain example of, say, one standing example when you go across, if you come across Theatre of the Oppressed, a book on legislative theatre where the people participate in making policies. And this is a very standing example of given by Augusto Boal, and his way of looking at how people have been from time not being part of a particular decision-making process, and then gradually, when it comes to people taking up the charge, it brings in the desired change. In case of Humana People to People, when we talk of Humana People to People, we address our projects with the name of productive units. We call them productive units. Why do we call them productive units? There is a reason behind it. A project is actually headed by a project manager or a projective unit leader, we call him. And he is a team of 10, minimum 10 to people, or it could extend to 40, 50 people, depending on the size of the project. And this project has people from different sectors, different expertise, and the project leader is supposed to be coordinating with all the people who are working as a staff in the project, as well as the project's operational area where the project is being implemented, be it any district of India, be it any place. The project leadership is supposed to be in tune with the community, with the administration, with the people around where the project is to be implemented. And that I have tried to enlist in 3 areas. He needs to make sure of engaging, and engaging is the way the community, when the project gets rolled out on the project in the field, different departments are taken into account by the project leader, as well as the field implementation technique is being used by the project leader, project leadership we call also, as well as the project team is also called field implementation team, which decides the field implementation techniques, how a project is implemented. And to decide this, to make this happen, they have to take into account the engagement of the community, the people for whom they are going to work, and the stakeholders around them, the community leaderships around them. It can be sarpanch, it can be village head, it can be the division head, which is a geographical division in the country, in the state, in the province. So these heads of the divisions, it can be women group heads, men group heads, some influencers. They can be many people around different groups which are operational in that particular area where the project is being implemented. And the systematic involvement of the community is called to bring more ownership of the community for the project to be implemented, both together by the team of the project, which is framing, which is making the activities happen in the project, as well as the community for whom the activities are to be conducted. Thus, the overall project implementation quality is being taken care of by both the parties. One is the implementers and one is for whom it is being implemented. Moving ahead, next component is to mobilize. Mobilization is at large taken into consideration when we think of the the community, the people of different sections of the society where the project is being implemented, and bit by bit they are able to see the desired change. And when they see that the current situation is going to change after a few months or years of the implementation of a project or the intervention, the community comes in with various questions, various doubts, they have debates, they have discussions around the issue, and that is a participatory way of dealing with the issues. It's not that it's only top to down approach, I would say. It's a flat approach where the community also sits with the issues as well as the team of the project sits, and they decide on a common course of action which would benefit them and also the implementers. And if I quote some examples are like say in 1989, Porto Alegre from Brazil, from the Workers' Party, brought in a concept called participatory budgeting, which has now expanded to different 3,000 cities around the world. This particular concept, we have been also, as Humana people to people, we have been using in our different tools of planning and making activities happen. And that I'll come to you in my later presentation, how we use of participatory budgeting. And it has been very instrumental in making our plans more instrumental and more realistic. And then, of course, I could say, not the least, Michael Menzer, We Decide book. He has written a book on We Decide. That's not I decide. It's all about a collective group of people who decide for themselves to bring the change in. Similarly, in HPPI projects, both, I'm talking about both smaller projects or bigger projects, we actually involve the project implementation team together with the administrative team from the head offices, as well as the team of finance and program implementation. Again, we'll go into details about this in the next slides. And all of this could not ever happen without a component called BCC, behavior change communication. This particular component is more intrinsically used in the projects actually. When we implement a project in the field, in a community, be it in Rajasthan, Bihar, or any state, it needs people to come forward to listen to, and not only listen to, listen, ponder over it, and also try to change what is needed. There comes the behavior change communication stuff, and it takes it's not it doesn't happen within a fraction of a second. It takes a number of meetings to make this happen, and it's also done democratically in a collective manner. Decisions are made, it is being first discussed, shared, and then finally the decision is taken. Then to consult. Consultation is again an expertise which is being used from time to time in this field. In the knowledge, expert knowledge is of immense use even in implementation of our projects. I could take, we had just seen a documentary on biogas, where we had invited various scientists based on biogas experts who would make the models, feasible models in the place. And then they are the ones who shared their ideas and knowledge with the community, the farmers who would construct these, and the masons were prepared, they were trained to build the biogas. Normal person, normal mason who doesn't know to build a biogas structure cannot build a biogas structure until he or she is trained. So there again a specialized field of knowledge was involved, and these trained persons then went to the villages, went to the panchayats and made the number of biogases. Now we have a lot of biogases operating in the villages of Rajasthan, especially districts. If I have to name some districts, they are districts of Dausa, and districts of Viratnagar, close to Jaipur in Rajasthan. Now over to Humana People to People India and its participatory democracy in the quest of changing the world for a better place. The basic strong belief which Humana People to People goes ahead with is it doesn't make any decision autocratically, be whatsoever decision based on finances, decision based on conducting activities, programming, planning, partnership, budgeting, whatsoever. Every decision involves a participatory approach by the team. Team can be smaller team or a bigger team. There is no individual who's taking a decision and going ahead with it. There is a team of individuals, a group of people. And when I said in the initial stages that the hierarchy of HPPI also facilitates this process of participatory democracy. And how that happens is, I can say, a moment to ponder about is to look at the hierarchy of the HPPI. When we see it's headed, of course, by Chief Operating Officer, CEO, and then there are three sections: national headquarters, of which I am also a part of, then finance area, which we call economy and administration. Third one is partnership wing, which we call national partnership team. These three units, these three departments together are providing leadership and support through the productive units called projects also, where the project managers or project leaders conduct the implementation of project in the field directly in different parts of the country. So you can see very clearly the hierarchy is not very long. A person at the project field level has access to NHQ, E&A or NPT, just I mentioned, as well as to the CEO in certain cases. So this particular structure, which is very democratic in approach, facilitates things to happen faster, things to happen with a particular quality which we seek for. And this is also our strength. I would proudly say that this has made us grow from 3 projects in around 2002 to 112 projects or more now. I don't have the latest count as of now. We have been increasing every month in different sectors across 14 different states. Now, one by one, I would take you along to our tools. I just mentioned about a planning tool where we involve participatory budgeting as well. This is called a locomotive. The term locomotive is signifying something should be moving, something should be in motion or movement or dynamic in nature. So that this particular tool is made by the productive unit leaderships once in a year when the year ends. That is, we call it a calendar year. We work with it. We start working with this particular tool from the month of November and we finalize it before the end of the year. Or we start even a little earlier actually to say so. This tool involves 2 parts. One is about program planning. Secondly, it is budget planning. Planning about the money part, where will the funds come for the particular activities to be conducted. So the productive unit leaderships are engaged in the whole process of making their plans for the next year, activity plans, their plans for the budget, finding partners also together with the partnership team of the country, together with the national headquarter team, where they are supported by the programs and activities. So the productive units work with headings like how will they involve the community, what type of headlines will be on a monthly basis while implementing the project, what will they be addressing weekly, and they go into even micro planning in certain types of projects, and quarterly takeaways, and so on. They decide what will be their end results or expected results after the implementation of the project, say for a 6 months or 1 year, time to time assessments. These sessions also involve certain specialized presentations for these productive unit leaderships regarding understanding of the tools, how they want to work with it. And ultimately, I would say this process builds confidence in the productive unit leaders to go back to their projects and implement the projects in a very confident manner. This is conducted centrally sometimes regionally in different parts of the country, depending on the need. And this is a very effective tool, annually it is being decided. And this is actually followed by certain quarterly planning sessions, which I will talk to you a little later also. Then I had actually spoken about community engagement already, but this is also taken due care by Humana people to people, all the types of projects. Community development projects we have projects in the health sector, we have projects in the education sector, we have projects in the microfinancing sector, livelihood sector. Every sector takes care of engaging community in a very systematic manner, where we involve the government institutions, we involve the education departments. If it is an education dominant project, we involve the panchayat levels, block levels. We involve different local leaderships which are influential in that particular region, geographical region. The community gets going once they get support from our team as well as the local leaders. And why this happens? This happens because the opinions and the views of the different parts of the community are taken into consideration while making a decision on the type of activities we conduct. Though we have a planning done from the beginning, and that planning is being shared with the community while implementing it, and then if there are last minute few changes to be made, then we make it within the purview. Looking at the budget also, there are no big budget changes around. So this is what is being taken care of by the project unit leaderships. That's why we call our project unit leaderships the central force of the project or the organization. We also call them the center of gravity at times. We can say it that way. Then we adopt a system called trio systems. This is also, we have our inbuilt system, how we operate in the projects. It has been time tested. It has been very successful across in all the projects over a period of last 15 to 20 years. We have been seeing this system has been working wonders. Here, there is as you see the word trio. Trio is three. It can be three individuals. It can be three groups, three institutions coming together to make things happen, whatsoever. The dynamics of three has been very effective and very productive in what we have come across. So we have put it as our one of the best practices also. Now I have given examples in the Kadam centers. Kadam centers, I will just take a minute to say what they are. They are centers in the schools up to 5th grade, primary schools. Kadam centers are made in those schools where the dropout rate of the children is high. The idea of a Kadam center is to bring all the children to the schools and connect them so that the dropout rates become zero. And to make that happen, small classroom like Kadam centers are made where children are put in a trio systems. 3 children sit together And these three are decided depending on their different capacities. One would be of strong, very active, and another average, another poor. So this dynamics helps, they share with each other, they talk to each other, of course being assisted by a teacher, but main driving force is the trio. The students drive the learning, their own learning, out of outward necessity is what we also push forth. And the teacher is there to facilitate the whole process in case the trio is facing a challenge. Coming over to my favorite example, that is a project where we had implement child labor free zones. You can look at the screen there. I have said trio group at CLFZ. CLFZ is child labor free zone in Panipat of Haryana, resulting in creation of CRPF, Child Rights Protection Forum, a sustainable group. This had been done together with the project team, with the community, with the team sitting in Delhi, the NHQ, which I just talked about, National Head Office, partnership team, members of those teams were involved in making this happen. So it took some time when the project was rolled in 2018 to 19, I would say, and then suddenly COVID period came in and there were a lot of challenges. Despite those challenges, the particular group of community people came together. They formed Child Rights Protection Group was formed and it kept on functioning well. And these three groups which made CRPF happen were a women group, a men group, a youth group. Now, youth group is again a group of men and women together who are young and energetic, who are ready to come ahead voluntarily without expecting much of monetary gains. To find such people in a community is a challenge in itself, I tell you. It was not easy finding these people and bringing them together. First time when the group was formed in Panipat, many people were interested when they heard the idea. And then once the group was formed and the first meeting was being conducted, very few turned for the meeting. So that was the first result. Then we immediately found another strategy of breaking this particular group and forming again. In this way, there was reformation of this CRPF 3 to 4 times until it took the shape of the current group. Meaning, the people who were genuinely interested stayed for the group, stayed behind, and who were just for the word of mouth, not so interested, just came in for the sake of coming in, moved out. So we need to take care of such situations while implementing in the field, because you will come across a big section of people, population who would, when they listen to you for the first time, would be interested. And when you again move ahead with the concrete plans, some will stay who actually understood you, but several would move out or some would move out. So this is a challenge from both the sides, from our side as well as from the other side. So this was a very successful example. We still have this CRPF in Panipat and it has been doing very well. Now going on to the types of meetings, I would say, which make this happen. These are some multiple avenues of decision making. And these decision making avenues are nothing but the types of unique meetings. We call them review meetings. Review meetings are programmatic and finance meetings by National Head Office and E&A together with the projective unit leaderships, PULs we call. And then there is a project council meeting. It again depends on the need of a particular project. It is a project-based meeting presided by the project manager or the project leader with his team in the project, nothing to do with the head office, headquarters, NPT, NHQ, or E&A. This is a project meeting. Finally, we have bigger group meeting or key staff meetings. Here, a group of projects come together, more than one project. It can be 5, 6, 7, depending on the group size. The total number of people in this group are around 30, 25, even 35. So this is an average size. And projects in this, project leaders could be 5 to 6. And it's a meeting of key staff in the projects. The staff who are project leaders, who are second to the project leader, who are decision makers, who are experts in a project working for particular project type. When I say biogas project, when I say microfinance project, experts of microfinance are hired, experts from the biogas field are hired, and they form key staff also. So that way, these particular meetings are specific in nature. Then I would say capacity building interventions. These capacity building interventions are those things in every project we come across need of specialization on particular topic, on particular issue. When we, for instance, when we implemented a project on diabetes mitigation in Jodhpur, there again we involved the experts from the NCD cell of India, the doctors, the medical experts who were experts in the area of diabetes, who were part of our projects, who used to take workshops, discussions, seminars, and these particular sessions were all democratic in nature. It's not only the experts were providing the knowledge, they were also learning from the community where they were intervening, where the projects was being intervened. So there was a complete approach of participation from both the ends. The practical approach as well as theoretical knowledge was combined together to bring in the change. Now, just to be a bit more, which I just wanted to highlight in my talk is how participatory democracy, or to say so, participatory leadership affects an employee or an organization. Just to say about employee, how does it, this particular presentation ends here, but I would end it with a note of what does participatory democracy do to an employee as well as a project or an organization. To an employee, coming over to an employee, it basically brings the particular, for the employee, it brings in decision-making capacities of the employee better. Also, his participation in making the policies function better improves. He is a part of the policy maker. And secondly, the employees are not the employees, they are part of the ownership of the particular project. And this thing, we also take it to the projects where we enhance on the, we talk about the community ownership at large. And then finally, before the final remarks, I would say for the projects and for the organization, participatory democracy brings in the real change where the acceptability of the particular concept or an approach or a strategy increases, and chances of success and the quality also enhances. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful full session. So I would like to request to the students for the question answer round, so they can ask their queries if they are having any, so that sir can answer. So
Am I audible?
yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you.
So we got a query that what is the concept of the participatory democracy in the context of an Indian organization, particularly?
Here I would say participatory democracy talks about people's involvement in making the policies of the particular organization or a particular institution. It should not be only top to down approach, but it has to take into consideration the opinion and views of the people who are being governed by it.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Our second query is how it is, the participatory democracy differs from the traditional decision-making process in an organization, or you can say in a project.
Just take into consideration when you talk about the traditional leadership or traditional style of democracy is actually a camouflage of democracy, I would say. It's a decision taken by a set of individuals coming ahead with their own ideas, own views, but not taking the larger community into consideration and their views and opinions. That's a traditional approach, I would say. Traditional approach is doing away with the participation of the community or the people who are supposed to be benefited by the policies, by the strategies, are left apart. And in participatory democracy, they are taken into consideration.
Thank you so much, sir. I think sir has explained it well. So the participant has got his answer. So we will move to the next query, sir. So what are basically the mechanism or the tools used for the same, to promote the participatory democracy?
Come again?
So what mechanism or tools are used to promote the participatory democracy within the organization?
It's basically engaging the community or engaging the employees. First tool is to engage them with the problem or issue. They should look at the issue as their own issue or their own problem so that their engagement increases. Secondly, it is about involving them in the particular decision-making process of the organization or the project. Finally, it is also taking their particular ideas and views as a part of consultation also into consideration before making a final decision. So these three components, which I have also shown in my presentation somewhere.
Yeah. Okay, sir. So when we talk about the decision-making process, as you explained, so how the key stakeholders are involved into the decision-making process?
This I can give one standing example from one of our projects. When we normally start, I can go back to a project. When a project team is decided, at the beginning, the project leadership or the project who will be headed by whom is finalized. Then he frames his team, which will go to the field and gather the people where he can explain the idea to the different sections, stakeholders, to the community, the idea about the project implementation. That particular meeting is being facilitated by the block level officers or district level officers in that particular area who have a bigger say in making it happen. Had it be gone alone on our own, this would not have taken place. Since we make use of that particular tool, the meeting happens, the acceptability of our idea also increases when they see a meaningful intervention, when we are able to show a particular intervention with a change as an end process.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the answer.
Thank you.
So that was quite, I mean, the explanatory, so that I'm not into that field, but 1 second. Yeah. So what is the role, what role does the leadership play in the fostering a culture of participatory democracy within the organization?
If we just put it in the very simple words, leadership should allow innovation and new practices to happen.
Okay, sir.
Innovation
So
and new practices to happen, meaning if I extend it a little more further, then it's about caring about the views and opinions of the people for whom the leadership is meant.
Okay, so I think sir has given the I mean the sufficient answers for the questions, and now just wrapping up the last with the last question, that so is there any specific legal or regulatory consideration that need to be addressed while implementing the participatory democracy in an Indian organization, or you can say into the project?
Regarding this, I'm afraid I exactly cannot answer this question 100% legal. Yes, we have, when we design our proposals, project proposals, they include certain laws and bylaws according to the place where the project is being implemented. So that is as per the jurisdiction of that particular area. So we take care of not breaking any legal laws or rules while implementing a project. And if there are any other considerations depending on the type of a project, for instance, a specialized project on microfinance, then we have to follow all the basic guidelines from the RBI, guidelines from the other financial institutions which are supposed to take care of the authenticity of implementation of such projects. And similar is the case of projects where we do community intervention. For example, projects related to water, projects related to environment. So particular ministries of environment and other government departments which are connected to these particular subjects must be taken into consideration, and legal permissions are sought at a district level, at a state level, at even national level, be it.
Thank you. So one more question is there from the faculty side now, that how far is the TRIO community successful in the community engagement?
I will again quote the example of Panipat project, where we actually started with the idea of experimenting the TRIO at a group level. TRIO had been successful individual level in the classrooms all the time, and it is still successful when we implement our Kadam centers. But now the classic example of group, we had 3 groups operating when we started the project in Panipat: men group, women group, and a youth group. And finally, project was addressing an issue on child labor. While addressing the issue of child labor, we had to frame a committee of passionate people from these 3 groups who would form a group called Child Rights Protection Forum, CRPF. when we found some very passionate people from these three groups, we formulated a fourth group and dissolved one of the groups from the three. So we maintained the character of three groups throughout. So this fourth group became the third group, and the youth group combined together in the CRPF group. So I can say that, of course, it has taken us time. Instead of 15 days, it took us a month or little more to make it happen. But the results which we got after that were amazing, I tell you. The groups are still functioning, even though we phased out from the area 2 years ago. Then we started a new project. The groups, we found them there. They still are dynamic.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I think you have answered the enough queries now. So as we are running out of time, I'm just winding up this session with the thank you so much, sir. On behalf of our team and the participants, I extend your heartfelt gratitude for sharing your valuable insight on the topic of this participatory democracy. And your thoughtful question and answers have been given us a clear picture of how participatory democracy can be effectively implemented, fostering transparency and accountability and inclusivity and decision-making process. Even though I'm not the kind area person expert, but I am quite clear with the session. So we truly appreciate your time and efforts in enlightening us with your expertise, and we hope to have a privilege of learning from you in the future as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Icha and Dr. Koral and Ghazal. I am very obliged to have you all here, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Mr.
Thank you so
Surya
much.
Verma. We are getting amazing feedback from the students, saying that the session went on very well and it was very informative. So thank you very much for all your inputs and for taking time out of your busy schedule and sharing your insights with us. We're very grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.